just amazing. So you see the steel framework, that's obviously the base of it. And around it, you've got the containers, 974. And inside it's just like any other stadium, obviously. Having some breakfast here, but something more important has happened. And what is that? You've got a movie out.
Big day, my friend. Good Rivals is out on Amazon Prime. It is the definitive story of the USA-Mexico soccer rivalry and everything on the field, but also off the field, in what I would argue is the most interesting, complicated rivalry in world soccer.
Mexico dominated the United States in soccer for most of the 20th century.
Es decir, era una gran potencia, era el primer mundo, eran los ricos, pero en fútbol se le ganaba con facilidad.
It was a real hostile environment.
I get hit and I can feel it swelling up.
Vamos a luchar a conseguir como de lugar la victoria, ¿no?
Every time Mexico loses to somebody they deem inferior to them, it's a tragedy.
With the Trump victory, things just started to go off the rails.
Now you have an already heated rivalry in a political battlefield.
You have families on both sides. It's a really hard thing to decide which country you want to represent.
Mexico is on half of my heart, and US is on the other half.
Que la rivalidad nos haga crecer.
A couple of things that come to mind. Why is it the most complicated first?
The most popular soccer team in the United States is the Mexican national team, which sort of encapsulates everything. This is about immigration from Mexico to the United States, and so many of the Mexican Americans who live in the United States look at it as a part of their identity to root for the Mexican national team, and the United States national team may be their second team, but when it plays Mexico, you have no doubt about who they're going to be supporting. And it's a huge group of people because the Mexican national team plays more games in the United States than it does in Mexico. They fill NFL stadiums in ways that the United States team can't. And that makes for a fascinating dynamic in the US. This rivalry really doesn't have a border.
So let me get this right. This week, you went viral and also have got a movie out.
It's been a crazy week. It's been a productive week. I didn't intend to go viral, I should be clear about that. So I wore a shirt to the USA-Wales game.
What is it? What is the t-shirt?
It's upstairs if you want.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look at it. And let's tell the story.
1 second.
That's the most famous t-shirt of this week. Look at that.
This is it. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, very straightforward. Sends the message clear.
If you Google t-shirt rainbow soccer, this is what you get.
Oh, is that right?
And I was not intending to even post this, that I was wearing this shirt on my social media until I got detained for wearing it by the security guard at the stadium.
How did it go? So they came to you and said, sorry, take that off.
Yeah. They would not let me in the stadium. They said, you must take that shirt off to enter the stadium. I said, no. They would not let me in. They took my phone forcibly after I had tweeted. And it got, that was when it got sort of intense. And yet it took about 30 minutes. And they kept demanding I take it off. I refused. They made me stand in front of a closed circuit television camera with someone on the other end. And I'm glad I tweeted it because I think FIFA sprang into action immediately and sent people there who maybe even weren't already there. And eventually the commander of the security came and said, you can go in, you can wear your shirt. He apologized, as did FIFA. So The tweet, I knew it would get some pickup. I had no idea. I think it's got like almost 200,000 engagements.
And then you were called by everyone. You couldn't deal with everyone because Days has got a limited amount of hours. But I imagine you put the message across that it was absurd, the whole thing.
Yeah, it's very clear. And I've tried to say this in every interview I've done. I've done a few. I've also had to turn down a bunch because I'm working. But I want to be clear, like I'm supporting the LGBTQ community everywhere, including in Colorado Springs, where there was a mass shooting this week, in Qatar, where it's illegal to be gay, and just trying to get out the message that if I'm treated that way here, when the world is watching, imagine what it must be like when the world isn't watching for LGBTQ people in Qatar.
Another shirt, another taxi, and I'm heading to a new stadium. The Stadium 974, called like that because that's a dialing code of Qatar, and the only ever stadium that can be dismantled after because it's made of shipping containers. There's a steel framework and shipping containers. It's by the waterfront, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. When I came to Qatar a few years back, it was being built, and the idea is to take the containers somewhere else. I've been asking and nobody seems to know where they're going after. There was one suggestion that maybe all the containers will be actually taken to Uruguay if Uruguay becomes one of the hosts of the World Cup in 2030. But otherwise, I was told that they were going to go all over developing countries. Nobody seems to know. In any case, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Today, by the way, a special program of Talking Football in La Liga TV is coming out. We put together some of the conversations that we've had with some of the biggest names in the history of Spanish football. We put it together into a 1-hour show to show off that we've been talking to all these people in Talking Football, but also that they've just given us pearls of wisdom, which we will reproduce it in the show that's coming out today in La Liga TV. In the world of football, where everything goes so fast, where every game is both a new beginning and a final destination of a race that seems to have no end, there is hardly any time to stop and look back. In Talking Football, we have spent 4 years stopping high-speed trains, inhabitants of that rare space that is the elite, and discovering how they live up there. Wherever one goes, there is a story. Each greeting is the beginning of an adventure. You just have to find enough time to experience both. This, what you are witnessing, is the harvest of those 4 seasons. By the way, I'm linking up with Recycling Lives, which is a charity that is close to my heart, with an amazing story behind it, which I'll be telling you in the next few days. If you want to donate and get to know more about it, there will be a link in the description. So actually, do have a look. It really is a fantastic story. Well, I have to say that this is just extraordinary. It's just amazing. So you see the steel framework, that's obviously the base of it, and around it you've got the containers, 974. It's got a symbol behind it, symbology behind it. This is a country of trade. The harbour is nearby, and containers, shipping containers, represent all that. Ghana fans and Portugal fans will be somewhere. It's Ghana-Portugal today. On one hand, Cristiano Ronaldo, he'll definitely start. But I wonder if Portugal keep going forward, if he will be part of the team later on in the tournament, as I believe there are better options for the kind of football that Portugal wants to do, or if they stick with him and that becomes one of the limits of Portugal, we will see. And for Ghana, the story for me It's Iñaki Williams, whose parents were from Ghana. He was born in Spain, but he made his debut with Spain against Bosnia in a friendly. That was 2016, something like that. Never came back, and he was doubting what to do. He was offered the opportunity to play for Ghana, where his parents are from, and eventually he said yes. So he is and should start again today. It will be his 4th game. Doesn't know the players much, but he speaks one of the languages that most of the players use, because this is the language that they talk at home. And the manager speaks English as well, so he's perfectioning his English, Iñaki Williams is. What a story, of course, of his parents who decided to leave the country, handed over a lot of money, all the savings, to a mafia, really, that took them halfway from Ghana to Spain. Halfway through that trip, they abandoned them, and they had to walk through the desert even. Lost the shoes as on the way, and Iñaki's dad lost sensibility in his feet. Iñaki's mother was pregnant of him. Eventually they made it to the frontier, to the border in Morocco, one of the enclaves of Spain there, and from there, Melilla I think it was, from there they were going to jump into the fence into Spain, were arrested, told the police that they were from Liberia, which is there was a civil war. There is a civil war at the time, and that's what allowed them to have the documentation to actually get into Spain. And once there, they were helped. They went to Navarra and Bilbao. That's where both Iñaki and Nico Williams were born. Nico plays for Spain, of course, and made his debut with the national side against Costa Rica. And Iñaki will make the debut today. What a story! But the story here is this amazing stadium. So you get there. VIP areas, we'll go inside in a minute. You get the offices, toilets, all kinds. And is there anything we can see through here? No. It's all very industrial, very harbour-like. And the waterfront is somewhere around here. Great place. Thank you. And inside it's just like any other stadium, obviously. This is the top of it. All the cables. Ghana almost got a draw, being 3-1 down. It was a game that had a couple of referee decisions that were controversial. Did Ronaldo deserve a penalty in the first half? I don't think so. Did he deserve a penalty, the one he got? I don't think so. But this is an interesting one, because basically what happens is, because it's not a clear and obvious mistake.
Parking, taxi, Uber, take left.
Right, that way.
Parking, taxi, Uber, take left.
All right. Basically, VAR did not intervene. I think it's a clear mistake of the referee that should have been told it's not a penalty, but he was not told, because there is a bit of contact. When there is a bit of contact, cannot really intervene, because the referee obviously saw it and gave it, and VAR is only, in theory, for clear and obvious mistakes. I'm focusing on it because it was an important part of the game, even though Ghana drew. Then they made a couple of really bad mistakes. The way they tracked back for the third goal, the Rafael Leao goal, was bad. Letting Bruno Fernandes run with the ball for so long. Anyway, Rafael Leao made a difference. João Felix as well. He could grow into becoming an important player, and Atletico Madrid will appreciate that because they have to decide either Simeone or Joao Felix, I think. But Cristiano, you can see what his limitations are. I don't know if he knows them. I don't know if he's aware of them. I don't know if he wants to think much about it, but he cannot stretch the defenses. He doesn't run in behind, and Portugal is full of players that want the ball to the feet. And they seem a little bit weak at the back as well. Not only conceded two, but as I said, they almost conceded a third one. So I don't put Portugal amongst the favourites. I think it'll go far. And I said at the beginning of the game, you know what? Perhaps without Cristiano, the team will play better. I think they would, with Rafael Leao or Andres Silva, but because there's more movement, the defences have got a more difficulty to guess what the forward is going to do. He obviously is great for free kicks and set pieces and penalties and at the end of crosses, but forces the team to play that way, the crosses way, which they did for an hour, not very effectively. But I saw how the cameras were focusing on him, how he was shaking the hands of the kids that were walking to the pitch with him, how he was celebrated like the massive superstar that he is, and you cannot replace him. You cannot replace him. Fernando Santos is aware of that. You cannot replace him. He's the kind of player you need to have always on the pitch. On the bench, he will be trouble. So I don't think he's going to be replaced. I don't think will be the reason for Portugal not to go far. They need a better combination of players that want the ball to the feet and all those that run in behind, etc. But it's also one of the limitations of Portugal. I don't think they will go far. Probably brave to say, having won the first game, but I don't think they will go far with the way they're playing at the moment. That's the impression I've got. So I'm rushing to get my Uber because I want to get home towards the Brazil game and see what the real favourites are doing. So I'll talk to you in a minute. Before I go, have you checked Recycling Lives? Have you checked what they do? It's a great story. I'm about to tell you, but I'll be testing you to see if you heard about them and what they do. Good night.